Here we go, guys. What's up, everybody? This is Herschel from High School Top 200. Welcome back again to another segment of my top fives for each position. It's been really cool putting these together, really just having a think about it, breaking it down for myself too. Learning new things, being able to read other people's comments on how they think about the position, how they think about how the position should be played too. That's the other thing you can send me in about, is just how you think the position should be played and how you see this position as a real benefit to a team or to a game plan and stuff like that. Just give me some more perspective. I always like that kind of stuff. But this one here is the centres. Obviously in New Zealand, our second fives and centres in terms of who goes where and who plays what, and so I guess who's more beneficial at what position. There can always be discussions about that, because you'll find sometimes some guys will play second five in school, then move to centre because the coach thinks they're better there, or move them back from centre to second five, or guys that are in centre send them out to the wing, or things like that. And so again, like when rep season comes around, or whatever may be, these guys may not be playing in these positions. So I guess these are all just my opinions. These are all just opinions, and I'm pretty much just basing it off what that player played mostly this year. That's kind of how I'm doing this. All right, and then I'm doing this of how I saw them this year, and how I think they performed this year as well. And so this is my top five for centres in New Zealand today, from this year. And it is a short year. We haven't finished. Rep teams are still getting named for regionals and things like that. So just keep an eye out for some of these players that may be in those rep teams. But the first one, the number one centre for 2021 to me right now, and it might be a surprise, and you guys probably might not know who he is, but his name is Luke Kane. Red, who's from Pukekohe, and I think it's like Luke Kane, like Mortal Kombat Luke Kane, and people from my generation name kids stuff like that, and so I think it's Luke Kane, like Mortal Kombat, Red, and his last name is Red. And if you haven't seen this kid play before, find some kind of, find something on him, find some live stream, find some games, go to the Pukekohe High School First 15 page, have a look at it. Like, this kid is just so good. He's such a big kid, tall, long, rangy kind of guy. Reminds me of like the old school kind of centers that were playing league, just the tall centers that used to play league, they would play league, and he reminds me of that kind of frame. And just like most guys from small schools, you put them in situations where they can go to big schools like Auckland Grammar, or or Wellington College, or Scots College, or something like that. If they went to Otago Boys, you would see such a different player, and you would see a guy who you would absolutely think is one of the best players in the country. So Luke Kane, Red, is one of those guys from Pukekohe High School. Big, like I said, big, strong, rangy kind of guy. Really, really, really powerful in his defend, separating, creating gaps and space between him and defenders is kind of like what I like about him. Not a selfish player. Obviously, these guys have been playing in the wrong competition, because they've been scoring like 70, 80 points most of the time, and just these big, massive scores where they're not really that tested. But I want everyone to go and see, and if you have the chance, I have so much confidence that he's going to make the Chiefs. And when he makes the Chiefs under 18s, please go and have a look at how good this kid is, and go and have a look at who he's paired up with the support cast that he has around him, and just watch the way that he plays, because he is I wish we saw him a lot this year. I saw him quite a few times. I saw him 6 times this year, or 5 times. Saw him once live, rainy day. They couldn't really do anything. All he did was pretty much tackle. He got into a lot of, forward stuff because it was such a muddy, messy game. But then I watched other ones of live stream and just sometimes it just looked like he was toying around with them, which was you can't really blame them, like when the game is that easy to you and you don't feel like you don't have to put in everything, all your efforts in that, you just kind of, I guess as a kid you just kind of get that way where it's just like, I can play at 60% and we'll still win this. And I wish he had got more competition to really push himself. And so Luke Kane Red is the guy that you probably want to go and see if you have a chance. And to me, in all honesty, if you see him in counties under 18s or if you see him in the Chiefs under 18s, just go in and have a look at him. Remember, these are my selections. I don't know what the Chiefs are thinking. I don't know what New Zealand secondary schools are thinking or whatever. These are just my ones. And I've seen them and I'm really, really impressed with him. And I even saw him when he used to play for Manurewa, because he was at Manurewa last year and he moved to Pukekohe. And so it was just the same thing. I actually didn't know that he was coming back this year. I wasn't too sure, but him coming back this year to me was such a big plus and the right move in terms of his rugby. He's a guy that you should probably go and see. The number 2 on my list is Essendon Tuitupo from Kelston Boys High School, who is when I talk about players, I don't like to talk about their dads, because it's not about their dads. I really don't care about who their dads are or what they've done. But he is the complete opposite of what his dad's game was. And I remember playing his dad at high school when he played for Kelston Boys as well. And he was hitting 18-year-olds at 15-year-olds, and he was just destroying them. Now, Essendon is not even that kind of player at all. He is not a tough guy, smash everyone on the field, knock the wind out of people. He's not like that at all. But he'll sidestep the hell out of you and just leave you flipping broken ankles and everything. That's how he is. Just the finesse and way that he plays and how sharp he is. He can run around players with ease. He's just like that kind of player. And just watching how exciting he is as a player and the way that he gets everyone around him involved is what I really kind of like about him. Because to me it's like whenever I see him touch the ball in any situation, he never looks like it's just for himself. He always looks like he's like a point guard. He's just like, I just want to get this ball away from me as fast as possible in the best position to the best players as quick as possible and set them up. And that's when you watch him, that's all that he looks like. Always got the ball out away from his body. And he's always like a threat, like his body's always turning, his shoulders always pivoting, his head's always going like this. And then if there is no options, he quickly tucks and just puts his head down and just goes forward. And he's just such a smart player like that. And so when you see him in his footwork and he's just going, zigging back and forth, fending some guys, finding that space and finding that weak defender. And once he's got it, man, this dude's just gone. And then there's always guys that were just right there behind him, and a lot of the guys and that Kelston team benefited off that a lot. And I like the way that he played his game in that way. And so he's the reason why that backline was really steady in the way in which they attacked. They weren't erratic. They were more. It was more free flowing, not erratic, but free flowing in the way that they were patient to wait for something to sort of open themselves up to them, and then they were quick to pounce on whatever it was. And when the ball was in his hands, I just always had this massive confidence that he was just going to make the right move whenever I watched him play. And I always think that, in a New Zealand secondary school system like that, 100% he'll be a guy that can really benefit with a lot of other players around him. And like sometimes I kind of think like, well, maybe he might be an even better winger than he is a centre. And just with his attacking, ability alone, I was just thinking, man, wonder what he looks like as a winger. And I've seen him before as a young guy, but not the way that he is now and the maturity in which he plays now. It's just a lot different. But I always kind of wonder, it's just like, well, what if it is like that? What if he does get to play outside of guys like Luke Kane? Like, what if he played outside Luke Kane in the way that is? And if you got someone like, I don't know, Francis or, Manu Leleua, if you had him, or Sean O'Leary, or, Aiden, what's his name? Anadu, Painga Morgan as well. Second five, they can be combo second five and centres to have someone like him too, and him be that guy you could just move wherever you want because he's just, he's just so talented in that way. And I always kind of think like that with him, and because I think Dimitri is also like that too from De La Salle. Dimitri Sifakula is the other one that I think is the other guy that I think should be in that position as well. And really because what's his other name? Because he goes by two names, I know that. And because he's just one of those players, like Dimitri is one of those kind of guys, right, that Vaimalma, sorry, his other name is Dimitri Vaimalma is his name, and he's the kind of guy that I think because he's so physical, I think you kind of forget how skillful he is as well. Defensively, he's just so strong. He's so strong defensively. But then when you get into the fact that he can create around him, is something that I guess you get surprised at, but then you kind of think is like, well, why am I surprised? Like, just because I saw him as a big, tough physical guy, that he doesn't have those kind of ball skills and footwork and stuff like that. He's just one of those kind of guys that you just really want. And he's the other kind of guy that you can kind of see on the wing as well. It's just like, well, what if you did have Dimitri out there on the wing? What if he was that kind of option? What if he was a centre winger kind of option? Because I personally would love to see someone like that on the wing, finishing off tries like that, or even breaking the line, taking advantage of that, and then putting his kicks in down the field, or making that extra pass back inside. Things like that is kind of where I see Dimitri in his game is. And I guess with Essendon, Dimitri, and then Quincy Penicino is the other one from St. John's College Hastings, and he is more similar to how Essendon is in terms of the way that they're built in their skill sets, with quick feet, really good defense in the way that they're not scared to hit anyone, and they're not scared to make that tackle or make the necessary tackle that they need to. Kitty is the same as well, where he is never scared, always takes into contact, but always tries to look for that option to get the ball out. And I can see him on the wing or in centre as well, and he can bring a lot to your game too. I've seen him play first five once or twice this year, I think it was, and he can fit into that first receiver. So it does give you a bit of an idea at how athletic and talented he is, and sort of wide ranging in terms of what he can do. And so that makes it. I think it gives you more of a perspective on what these players can do, and it's kind of similar to how Essendon is that we carry Penicino is kind of a finesse, flary kind of player, but doesn't mind doing all the hard stuff. Dimitri is that way too, but because he looks so huge and because he has this big upper body, because his legs look massive, you just see, first off, your first impression is that, oh cool, we have a crash ball kind of guy, instead of like, we have a guy who can create play, and if he needs to, use his physical ability to get out there. So in terms of trying to I guess separate all the guys and what they can do for your team, that's kind of how I would do it with those kind of guys. And now the last one, the top 5 and the last one, and so Luke Kane, Rid is the number 1, Essendon Tuitupo is the second one, Dimitri Vaimalma is the third one, Cody Penicino is the fourth one, and then Lotti or Shadrach Seville is the last one from St. Bede's College, and he's been here since he was year 11, and even in his year 11 year on the wing, he was scoring, I think he scored like 2 or 3 tries for the first 4 games or something like that. I think they had played like 5 games and he had 12 tries or 11 tries or 13 tries or something like that in 5 games. And he was just that good. He was just that explosive, strong, physical, really in your face kind of stuff. And then it carried on in year 12 as well on the wing, splitting it from wing to centre, and then got to centre this year and played well and was a really solid player. It took a little bit for him to fit into what his role was now and sort of to get all those, I guess all those tendencies and movements that you make as a winger that you get so used to, that when you move position, you're not playing the sideline, you are used to working to that small gap to sort of coming in just one way, whether it's right or left. You don't want to, the sideline's there and you just want to come away from it. And so you kind of cancel out, the other side kind of thing. Also, in terms of where defenders are coming, most of the time they're always going to be on your inside, never really straight ahead, all that kind of stuff. And, just that, I guess, that opportunity to play make on both sides of your body, on both your right and left, and being able to have those same options and just instead of just playing one way. And so it took a little bit for him to adjust, but in the end I think he got it. And again, with like him and like the other guys, is that he can, no doubt he can sort of go back and then make himself available for winger as well, and trust that he always has the ability to do it. And his strength and his explosiveness is one thing that I would probably highlight a lot. Safe under the high ball, all that kind of stuff, but his power and power strength and quickness with ball in hand and going into physical contact is by far his most valuable asset that he has, and it just fits really well with a New Zealand secondary school kind of setup and game plan and what you want. So the other guys that kind of just missed out, again, not in order. There's always like a few guys that sort of just missed the cut, and I just couldn't really put them in there. Kobe K from Sacred Heart College was another one, just one of those skillful kind of guys as well. Really physical, like surprisingly physical for the way that he is, but really fast feet, really quick. Aki Tuivailala from Hamilton Boys, he's a year 12. He's another one that I think will have a big year next year. Another guy that could be centre winger, not really quite sure yet. Cody Vive from St. Peter's School, Cambridge, is another one, as he's a year 12. Xavier Talea was probably, Oppai is another one from St. Kennigan's, another year 12. I think those 3 year 12s, along with Siale Faimani is the other one from St. Peter's College in Auckland, and then Tane Harvey from Palmy Boys as the other year 12. So there's five year 12 centres that are all coming through next year that are just really strong contenders already, and those are the guys that I feel like are going to take over next year and, you know, sort of be the guys that you sort of rely on next year. Not in terms of like the only guys that can play, but they're just one of those, I guess, the bigger names that are coming out and ones to look out for. Tamiro Armstrong from Rotorua Boys is another one, but I think he's going to league too. I think he's already signed with someone in league. But he had a massive season this year, playing some fullback and some centre as well. Jay Broomfield is the other one from St. Paul's Collegiate, who I really like. Isaiah Oppai is the other one from Wellington College, who to me is a centre winger. I like him better at centre. He played a lot of wing this year, but I personally think that he was better at centre than he was at wing, and I guess giving him more opportunity to show what he can do was better at centre for me than what I saw. Tony Solomona is the other one that I really liked as well from St. Pat's Silverstream, and there was a lot of times this year where he really did save them a lot in terms of their backline play, and then him, you know, linking up with Emmanuel Solomona as well, and, you know, just what they were able to do. But I think those are like the main ones that sort of to look for next year. Obviously, Josh Fang is another one from St. John McGlashan College down in Dunedin. He's another one. Case Muir is the other one from Tauranga Boys. So like that pairing in Tauranga Boys is going to be a really good one to watch out for. Quincy Penicino is another one from St. Peter's College. I like him a lot too, what he does. Nathan McKenzie from Christ College, he's a big time guy, a big time player as well. Him, Sione Baker from Purirua College is from Mana College, sorry, not Purirua College, from Mana College. Sione Baker is the other one that is probably a good one to watch out for too. But yeah, like George Muir from St. Peter's Cambridge, who's moved from wing to centre a little bit, you know. Mainly, I mean, for him, he's just a smaller kid with just a lot of skills, but you know, once he picks himself up and starts working out in the gym, things like that, like his skill set will take over. Because Ethan Loeb is the other one as well from Francis Douglas Memorial. He's another one too that I really liked in the way that he played. Even though the team struggled, I thought he was solid. But those are my picks on the top 5 in centres. Thanks for listening. Peace.